Oregon and Washington are here for Interstate. This film of the Interstate Championship meet is brought to you by Carnation Albers, the calf manor people, and by the Interstate Games Committee. In 1957, Oregon and Washington got together with 20 of the best games horses to see just which state had the fastest. Interstate was born, and since that time, Oregon has won 8 times, and Washington has won 8 times. Interstate is a family affair. The campers, the traders, the horses, and the people began to arrive on Friday. Some were there to compete, some were there to watch, and the competition would be the toughest in Interstate history. Interstate officially got underway Saturday morning. Throughout the summer, girls from each state have been selling tickets to the event. The top 2 girls in sales from each state are chosen as Interstate Princesses. From here on, they'll be judged on poise, horsemanship, and personality, and one of them will be chosen the Interstate Queen. Saturday night, the arena comes alive with the grand entry. Oregon from one side and Washington from the other. The 1973 Interstate Queen is named. She is Vicki Shane from Hillsboro, Oregon. There is more to that than just a title and honor. The Interstate Queen's Trophy Saddle, presented by Pat Driscoll of Albers Milling Company. There are 2 states involved in the Interstate Games Championships. Of course, 2 announcers, 2 of the most well-known announcers in Northwest Sports Games. The state of Washington, first on my left, is Jay Bennett, and on my right is Les Lusk, and Les is from Oregon. I think maybe, Jay, for just a second, we can talk about the rules that are going to apply to the competition today. You've got two states involved, but you've got one set of rules.
That's right. It's called the Pacific Northwest Games Rules. It's a conglomeration of rules that's been put together over the last 15, 20 years to make sure that in this state competition, primarily, we run exactly under the same ruling systems, the same judges, the same lengths of courses, and this type of thing. Our judges are selected by a testing system after many years of experience in your local horse shows to come here so we have the best judges and timers. In certain events, you have penalties. Some events, you have disqualifications. And some events, Lord knows what's going to happen out there. We'll see today.
Okay, what kind of timing system, very quickly?
Electric eye, down to the thousands. It's a very effective system.
Okay, now the competition is between the finest riders of the states of Oregon and Washington that have been riding in these programs all year long. And Les, maybe you can explain briefly what kind of a system was used to pick the best riders for this Interstate Championship.
Well, the system used is strictly on the merit of whatever the rider can do themselves. They run at many shows throughout the year in both states. They are approved by the state organizations. Times are compiled and kept on record, and at the end of August 1st of every year, these times are gone through, and the best people with a 3-time average, the best 3-time average, earns them the right to come to this fine and championship show.
Most of the events last night, there was Washington and Oregon people in both, but in this rescue event, Washington took all 5 places. Why don't you describe this for us?
Right, this event, Marty, is an event that, once again, the course is 120 foot long. You have a mounted rider and one on the ground. The mounted rider starts at the starting line, rides down 120 feet, and as he circles the rider on the ground, they try to mount before crossing that line and get back here across the finish line. They'd step across that line while they were mounting. It's down the drain. Disqualification. Here's our first place team from last night. Colleen Cohane and Jackie Dillman riding a big old quarter horse stud called Champagne K. A nice turn this time. She's up, probably extended her neck a little bit, but a real fine run. Their time last night, their winning time, was an 8.469.
Well, this is probably the best known of the events in horse games, barrel racing.
Right, you'll see it in many of your rodeos and things, but we run just a little bit different. We have a course of 3 barrels set up in a 75-foot triangle. A parallel line between these first 2 barrels and the starting line is 30 feet. The rider has the option of either going to the left barrel or the right barrel first, which is something that's just come about in the last 4 years. Prior to that time, they had to go to the right barrel first at all times. As we get into this, you'll notice that these riders must know how to set up their horse, rein the horse, and this is why we call this event and all the game events reining racing horses. Okay, the event you're about to see now is the senior barrels. There are junior barrels which will be run later on today. This is Sandy Neely. She comes from Eugene. She won this event last night. As you watch her, she'll have to set that horse up, get ready for that turn, and lay it over and rein. A little bit deep on her turn there, but not bad at all. She goes into that third barrel. She lays over and heads for home. Sandy is one of the top riders in the state of Oregon, and her winning time last night was a 15.109.
If pole bending was a problem because you're only allowed one hand on the reins, the bareback relay's got to be worse.
Yeah, you can have just about all the hands you want here, Marty, but it's a little different situation. No saddle on the horse, a lot of turning, a lot of getting off and getting on. What this event is, you have a 120-foot course again. You have 4 riders and 1 horse. The first rider is mounted. He rides the 120-foot line, goes around the barrel, and comes back. As he comes back across the finish line, he gets off one side while the next rider gets on the other side and heads back, and they do this with 4 riders. Sometimes they go on their heads, sometimes they don't. Could be very interesting. Our second place team from last night is the Appalachia Riders from Wenatchee, Washington, called the Apple Knockers team. The horse is called Minx. Now, this first rider must dismount, and the second rider will get on behind, Danny Jagla. A nice mount. Watch the nice turns this little horse does as she comes into a barrel. Just kind of pivots on one end. Now, he once again will have to get off to the right while Ross Cargo gets on from the left. And a real fine mount for Ross. One of our best games riders in the state. I think he forgot his boots this morning. This is one of the events you do not have to wear Western boots in. Sometimes they get twisted up. And if he goes back across the line now and mounts that horse properly, he will not be disqualified. In these interstate games, there is points for each place. So he made a good mount. Now he'll make his turn. Crank it on a little bit there, Robin. Nice turn in there for that little Minx horse. And here they come. Pretty good run all the way. A little tough luck, but that happens.
Okay, the first rider out for this team was the winning team last night of Washington County Riders, Vicki Shane, our new interstate queen. They did eclipse the previous record time in Oregon, which was a 43.61. There's a good dismount, and here is Lee Wells. He's hopping up on that pony. He's got to come back through those starting poles. Lee is one of the top mounting and dismounting people in the state of Oregon. And come up, set that horse. Little Ricky Obrist will be the next rider. We're getting a little assistance there. They're okay. That horse was over that line for a moment. Okay, Rick, let her out. Ricky's one of the top junior riders for the state of Oregon, has been for a couple of years. His brother was the top one for a long time. And the last rider for this team, Mr. Dave Williams. And you'll see there one of the finest mounts that you'd probably see anywhere. This gentleman here is a co-holder in the record for two-man rescue. Bring her home, Dave, that old boy. Their winning time last night of 42.865.
This film of the Washington-Oregon Interstate Games is brought to you by Carnation Albers, the Calf Manna people. Here's the feat of champions. Calf Manna holds the premier position as a supplement for stallions, mares, foals, as well as performance horses, show horses, and game horses. This, a pound a day, mixed, or top dressed with your regular feeder oats, can head you towards the winner's circle. Albers Roundup. Each half-inch pellet rounds up chopped hay, grains, and minerals all in one. Carnation Albers calls these Roundup pellets baby bales. The hay and grain is all compressed to eliminate storage and feed waste. If hay's a problem, try all-in-one Roundup. If you're a competitor, if winning a trophy is your thing, and you like to feed hay and grain, then feed Trophy Horse Ration. Trophy's a sweet rolled grain feed. Just add hay. Now, lots of horse owners swear by a quart of oats and a flake of hay, and that's all right, but you also know that oats and hay is not enough for a horse to perform as you've seen them perform here today. Carnation Albers Show Glow is the high-potency mineral vitamin supplement for horses. It's fed at the rate of an ounce in the morning and another ounce for the evening feeding. Show Glow is the particular additive to keep in mind for show horses or horses under stress. Compare this guaranteed analysis with any product on the market. Try 1 jar of Show Glow, enough for several months right here, and you'll see a shiny coat, a bright eye, and a light step. It'll catch the judge's eye as well. Take a load off your mind with Carnation Albers horse feeds and horse feeding equipment. They can help you relax and enjoy your horses, knowing you're getting the finest your hard-earned money can buy. Look up your nearest Albers Calf Manna dealer. There are 9,000 of them in the United States. This is the senior championship keyhole. And Les, why don't you explain how it works?
Well, this event here is a go-for-broke event, and in many times has turned this event completely around. I'm talking about event, the Interstate Games meet. You have a key made in lime, which is laid out on the ground with a circle 20 foot in diameter. You got an opening that's 4 foot wide by 10 foot in length. The rider crosses the starting line, goes down into the key, turns around and comes back out, crossing the finish line. Any time that he steps on or over the white line, he will be disqualified. It's just that simple.
The number 3 rider out for Oregon is Mr. Bill Neely. He comes from Eugene, rides a horse by the name of Penasue. Bring her home, Bill. Have to check that line there. Bill Neely had a no time in that last run.
Lloyd Gate out for the state of Washington on a horse called Rathagap. Beautiful turn, but he slipped over the edge. Okay, there's no time for the last Washington rider.
Number 1 rider for Oregon is Mr. Randy Albers on High Betty's Wagon. Comes from Bourne. He also holds the Oregon State record at 693. Randy Albers, who just made the run for Oregon, has just broken the new interstate, or set a new interstate record at a 7:16, 7.16. He also has set 5 records in this event this year throughout the state of Oregon and now here at Interstate.
Jay, from an individual event to a team's event, team's baton, and this is the baton they pass at a full gallop.
Right, your horses are probably running at each other about 30, 35 miles an hour, sometimes faster. But what it is, it's like a baton relay in any sporting event. The first rider starts out with this baton in hand. He rides down around the barrel and back across the course and passes to his next rider in turn until all 4 have completed the course. All right, the first team out for Washington, or our number 3 teams, the Puget Sound Games Riders team number 1 with Nancy Neuroth out on the course. They are currently the Washington State record holder that they set over at our state finals. Nellie Johnson on a horse called Miss King Jody on the course now. A fine turning horse and a beautiful turn. Coming back, she's going to pass off to Jackie Dillman on a horse called Dolita. Beautiful job. Ought to be a nice turn here. She's in, she's out, she's coming. It looks good all the way. Let's go. Get it on, get it up. Hey, and the last horse is calling. Last rider is calling Cohane on a horse called Champagne K. And a beautiful turn. Get him out of there, Champagne. All the way. What do you say about that, Marty? Looks like a good run to me. I think we might have a new record. We have a record on the far side, an interstate record. It's a new interstate record for the Puget Sound Games Riders number 1, a 35:07, ladies and gentlemen, a beautiful run, and we got some very happy girls over there.
Okay, once again, a new record has been set at 35:07. This team for Oregon is the Unpredictables from Eugene. Pat Larkin, the first rider out. This team holds the current Oregon State record of 34:62 and are the previous holder records here at Interstate with a 35:48. Cliff Larkin riding Fritz is the next rider. Cliff is one of the finest riders you see anywhere in the state. He'll be coming back, passing off to Mr. Al Barber riding Annie. Take her in there, Ann. Attaboy, Al, bring her back. And our last rider for Oregon will be our finest lady in the state, Evelyn Barber on Beauty. Come on, Evelyn, lay her around there. That a girl. Bring her home now. Anytime a record can be set here, and this could be another one.
Next team out for the state of Washington is Jack Brooks on a horse called Dude from the May Valley Saddle Club. Going to make his pass to his wife, and his wife is Kay Brooks on a horse called Nellie's Jet. An awful wide turn there. This may cost them some time. These people are capable of the record. They might do it again. Bobby Gilmore on a horse called Decca. A real fine horse, a fine turner. Just a little pony, but does a tremendous job for a little horse. And the last rider on the team is Larry Glazier on a registered quarter horse stallion called Ebony String. He got a nice setup and a nice turn here. Let's see if we can get his horse coming back and get some time on it here. See what's happening. It looks like a fine run. Time for the Washington team was the 35:90.
The All-Oregon team, which is right on this side, just set a new record, breaking the one set just moments ago with a 34.66.
Been a number of records broken here today.
Very exciting show thus far.
The next event is a champion junior scurry, and while they're setting up, perhaps Les will explain that one a little bit.
Okay, this is one of the most exciting events, in as much it's dangerous that these riders are jumping an obstacle. They're setting it up out there right now. You've got 3 poles spaced 30 foot apart. First pole 30 foot off the starting line. a barrel 30 foot beyond the third pole. The rider goes down, jumping all 3 poles, turns the barrel, comes back and jumps the 3 poles again, going across the finish line. If they go outside the poles in any way, they're disqualified. A knockdown of a pole designates a 5-second penalty.
Midway through the competition, Washington leads Oregon 781 to 778, and it doesn't mean anything at this point. It could go either way. The striking thing about the Interstate Games, there are 2 announcers, one from Oregon and one from Washington, and there is no attempt made at all to be objective. They're very biased, so is the crowd, and there's a real deep sense of competition between both states at these games. These games are something. There's no separation made by sex. The only differences are in age. This is Randy Lay. He's from Eugene. He's on a Shetland named Misty.
This is a small compact model just to show you that it doesn't have to be a big horse to run these events. He does a fine job as one of our top junior competitors in the state of Oregon.
Next rider out for the state of Washington is Sharon Pearson on a horse called Sheba. Nice little Palomino horse. A nice turn there. He's up, 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 and it looks like a very good run all the way. Looking good. The time for the last Washington rider was an 8.994.
Next rider up for Oregon will be a young lady by the name of Pam Hoffman. She comes from one of the coastal areas of Tillamook. She rides a horse by the name of Cameo Isle. She is #1 in the juniors for the state of Oregon this year. Bring her home there, Pam. Atta girl.
Score was 4 events to go. Oregon 900, Washington 866, and back to the slalom skiing event of horse games. Jay?
Yes, our champion senior pole bending, Marty, which is one of the most exciting events we have. I think it is the ultimate in Western Games. You have a course, once again, 120 feet long with 6 pole standards out there, such as slalom poles. The first pole is 20 feet from the starting line, and each additional pole is 20 foot apart. On a signal from the starter, the horse goes down to the end pole, passing all the poles, turns it, slaloms back towards the starting and finish line, and then back up the line, finishing around the last pole and making a straight run for home.
We might mention a couple of favorites in this event. Bob Gilmore from Washington on Duchess, and Evelyn Barber from, she's from Eugene. She rides Beauty, and there is 2/100ths of a second difference in their average time, and Evelyn is the Interstate Games pole bending champion.
And our first rider out for Washington is our 3rd fastest qualifier, Ann Martin, on a big quarter-horse stallion called Ombre Bar. And, ooh, we almost had a bad turn there, but she's going to pick it up, we hope, and coming through there. She's from over around Swim, Washington. Real fine job. A very tough horse to ride, I might add. One of the few women riding stud horses around the games, and it looks like a good run so far. She's got him turned around. Head him home, Ann. Bring him home all the way. A real nice ride for Ann Martin on Ombre Bar.
These are the 2 finest pole bending horses. On the Oregon side, Evelyn Barber on Beauty. On the Washington side, this is Bobby Gilmore on Duchess. Bobby is from Seattle. That's the best pole bending rider and horse in the state of Washington. Evelyn Barber is the Interstate Games champion. At 1948, she holds the record on Beauty. Evelyn from Creswell. They're running even up. Evelyn's getting a slight lead. Nice inside on the turns. Nice inside. Bobby's made his turn. Evelyn makes her turn. She's on a full gallop coming on back. The crowd is going crazy. Bobby Gilmore's a little bit ahead. We'll have to wait for the time to see. With 4 events left now, it is Oregon 1,126, Washington 1,055. And this event, Les, if you can explain it, is team pole bending, which essentially, I guess, is pole bending with a relay.
Right. You've got the same as you'd see in individual poles. The only difference, you're running 4 riders, and the one major factor here is that the rider may hang on. Now, in individual poles, the rider must keep one hand free at all times. But the hairy part of this is you've got a horse coming off the course, and they're crisscrossing or crossing over when they pass that baton off. So this can be very ticklish.
3rd team up for Oregon here is the Super Chickens. First rider out is Mr. Ted Hickman. Once again, as we pointed out earlier, in the team pole bending, you can hang on to any part of your clothing or anything that you want, as opposed to individual poles where you must keep one hand free. The record for this event is a 90.10, a 90.10 for the Unpredictables set back in 1971. Bert Reed's the 2nd rider out for the Super Chickens. Comes from the Lebanon area in Portland, in Oregon. Not too far from Portland. Bend her over there, Bert. Bring her around there, that'll boy. These batons must be of a flexible material. They cannot be something sharp, hard, that might hurt in the handoff. Now, there's a straight handoff. Charlotte Reed, Bert's wife, is the 3rd rider out for the Super Chickens.
Takes a lot of balance to keep that horse switching his leads, turning the end poles. This isn't done properly. They lose a lead. They can very easily get off stride, and first thing you know, you knock the pole down, picking up that 5-second penalty. Charlotte Reed coming into the last rider, which is Karen Wolfenbarger.
Les, you might explain. There may be some people who don't know. Could you explain? We've talked a lot about proper leads. Could you explain what that is?
Well, in order to make these horses get set properly, you can watch here. Now, this horse is switching his lead. You'll see the front end coming off the ground just a little bit just before the turn, and picking up that right lead, then the left lead, and going on down through the course that way. If they stayed on a straight right lead all the time, they would not be able to turn and make those bends like they should.
So what you're saying, in essence, is he changed his feet.
Right. Okay, the first rider out for the Unpredictables is Pat Larkin. This is the team that holds the existing record for Interstate, which is a 90.10. Pat rides a horse by the name of Bobby.
And for the state of Washington, the May Valley team, the first rider out is Jack Brooks on a horse called Dude, one of the best pole-bending teams in the state of Washington. A real fine job so far. Made a nice turn and heading back.
The second rider out for Oregon is Mr. Cliff Larkin, father of the boy that just got off the course. He rides a horse by the name of Fritz.
Jack Brooks is going down to pass to his wife, Kay Brooks, on a horse called Nellie's Jet. A little bad reception on the patch. She's got the baton under her arm. Can she hang on to it and make her run? Let's see. She's got to pass that baton off to her next rider when she finishes the course.
Okay, Cliff coming home now. He'll be passing off to Mr. Al Barber riding Annie. And the next rider up for Oregon will be the top rider in pole bending throughout the country, Evelyn Barber.
Let's see what's going to happen. She got the baton out from underneath her arm. She's passing her Larry Glazier on a horse called Ebony String, one of our fine quarter horse stallions from Washington. Larry Glazier holds more state records than any other individual rider in the state of Washington.
Hey, Al Barber's coming home, and you'll see Evelyn Barber and Beauty once again as the last member of this team. And they, once again, do hold the existing record. They've got a clean run going. We might see something happen right here.
Larry Glazier passing off to Bob Gilmore, Washington State's finest pole-bending horse. It should be very interesting to watch these two horses finish up. She's weaving in and out. One of the sweetest pole-bending you ever saw in your life. Get it out there. Let's see what's happening.
Evelyn crosses the finish line. We'll have her time in just a few moments.
Bob's making the end turn. He's heading back. The clock will tell the story. Who won the clock? Who what? We got something going on the far side.
Time is 1:30.350. That team pole bending run by May Valley, Larry Glazier, Jack Brooks, Kay Brooks, and Bob Gilmore breaks the interstate record and the Washington state record. Their time is 1:28.677. which takes almost 2.5 seconds off the interstate record, which was held by the team they just beat, Evelyn Barber, Al Barber, Cliff Larkin, and Pat Larkin, the Unpredictables from Oregon. The next event is Senior Scurry.
Next rider here for Oregon is Mr. Randy Obrist riding High Betty's Wagon. He comes from the Boring area just outside of Portland and does a fine job riding all year long. Nice run, nice run. Okay. Time for Randy Obrist there was an 8.982.
Out on the course for Washington is Richard Fowler on a horse called Wapato Star. A beautiful turn, 3 nice jumps, all the way looking good, all the way. A very fine run for that fine little quarter horse.
This is our number 2 man for the state of Oregon, Mr. Craig Courtney. He rides a horse by the name of Bucky Q. He comes from Eugene. Craig, nice turn, coming back. Make her clean. Oh, a little tough luck there. We'll pick up a 5-second penalty.
This is a look at Junior Figure 8. This is Ricky Obrist. He is the Interstate Games record champion. This is Junior Figure 8. It's simply that, a figure 8 around the 2 poles. Fine turn.
Rick.
Very tight. Good footing. He's fine. He's across the line, and it's over with. Let's get his time here. Okay, this is Pam Hoffman. She is from Tillamook, Oregon. She's aboard a horse called Cameo Isle. Ricky Obrist's time was 10:60. That's about 0.2 of a second off of his record of 10.60. Okay, here goes Pam Hoffman. She'll come down, she'll pull the turn to the left, back, then down to the far post and around it, and then she'll cross the finish line. It is simply a figure 8. And that's Pam Hoffman of Tillamook, Oregon. Score going into the last event is Oregon 1,406 and 1/2 points, Washington 1,335 and 1/2 points, and it will be decided in this last and final event, right down to the wire in the Interstate Games. This is the champion 3-barrel flags, and Jay, you can explain how it works.
It's very similar to the regular team flags, four-man team, except we added an additional barrel in the center, which makes it doubly difficult. They still take the flag out of the first barrel, but instead of going to the end, they put it into the center one, go to the far barrel, take the flag out of it, and return it to the center. The next rider goes and takes them back out of the center and puts them back where they started from. And the next team out for the state of Washington is from Spokane with Jerry Johnson and Sue Sawyer. Sue Sawyer out first. A beautiful shirt and a nice, she's got her pulled in, she's got a nice turn, she's got the flag. It's in, and here comes Jerry Johnson, Saddle Warmers team. Oh, you know, so a little switch around the circle there, that's perfectly legal as long as they exchange the flags, but he missed it at the other end.
First rider out here for this team is Mr. Craig Courtney. He comes from Eugene. This is a father-son combination. Two nice placements there. Oh, it's going to leave it tough for his dad, Chuck Courtney, who's also the president of Western Horsemen of Oregon. Pick that up nicely. Could be in good shape. And there we go. Okay, a nice run there by Craig and Chuck Courtney.
Ed Garrett on Mac King Q. Come on, Ed, get him out of there. That's the way, boy. Get him on, get him on. He got the nice exchange, pretty fair turn, and here comes his brother on Okibar, another registered quarter horse stud. A nice pick, a beautiful turn. He got it. Oh, a little close there. He gets it in. Oh, it went on 5 seconds. Okay, the team up the last one in our top caller 5, the May Valley team. Bob Gilmore out on a horse called Duchess from May Valley. He's made the turn. He's got the other one in. Next rider coming is Larry Glazier on a quarter horse stud called Ebony String. Get him around there, Larry. A nice turn, nice turn. He's cranking, he's grabbing, he's got the flag, he's got it in, and that ought to be a new record. I think that's another record has obviously been broke by the state of Washington. I don't know how fast it is. Look at the people jumping around and raising heck. Believe me, this is exciting. It's something that's a lot of fun. These guys work very hard all year, and they've just been dreaming to do just this type of thing.
Pat Larkin out for the team of Pat and Cliff Larkin. These are the current record holders of the Interstate three-barrel flag with an 1808. They also hold the Oregon State record with a 1774. Cliff Larkin on Fritz is the next rider out. These two gentlemen come from Corvallis, Oregon. Cliff picks her up, and there it is, and a very nice run at that.
Okay, we have obviously another record for the state of Washington, a little bit faster than the last one by our top qualifying team. They're measuring the course again. The time here, the last record time we had a little bit ago was a 17.924. This has broken down to a 17.87. We've got some real exciting people here, and this is what makes the game so much fun.
The Interstate Games are over. They were won by Oregon with 1,492 points to Washington's 1,450. Les, congratulations to Oregon, and thanks for working with us. It was great, and we hope we'll see you back next year.
Thank you, and it's been my pleasure, I'm sure.
Jay, sorry about that, but what can you say? You guys did great. At 400th of a second on the last event.
You win some, you lose some, but with that short difference, it shows the teams are fairly well matched, and we'll be back next year to give them heck. You can be sure of that.
Thank you both. It was a great meet, and we had our pleasure to be here.
Jay, congratulations. Thank you.